Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's the J Gemini. This afternoon, I wanted to go ahead and actually bring you a video of something that I absolutely love, and it's this little guy right here. This is the Reylight Pineapple Mini Titanium. So today, I'm going to end up going and telling you what I like, what I love, what I dislike, and if it applies, what's rubbish about this little light. Of course, before we get that all started, let's get out of the way size comparisons with items that are common in EDC. So we have the famous pair 3, both opened and closed. So as you can see, this is not a big light at all. Here's even a 58 millimeter Victorinox. So not so much bigger. Also, another thing, this is a standard AAA battery. So as you can see, not large at all. So, size out of the way, let's go ahead and jump right in. First thing I like about this light is, let's just start on the surface, right? I like the way that this light looks a lot. You get these sort of frag pattern-esque millings throughout the entire light. And you also end up going ahead and having these sort of indentions on the front here. Then you come around the back and you have a tritium vial slot, which I do have a tritium that is green in there, and this deep carry clip. Overall, it's just really simple, really straightforward, classless, if you will, but it looks good. It looks really, really good. I find this light to be extremely attractive. The next thing that I like about this light a lot is actually sort of, this would be strange, but the ergonomic and I would also say versatility of how this light can be used. There are some lights that when you use them and they are tail switch, you just turn them on, and that's really the only sort of grip that feels comfortable. With the way that this light is designed though, there's so many different ways they can be held comfortably. One thing that I really like about it is, for example, the pocket clip. I love the Olight style reverse Z pocket clips because you can put them on a hat, which you cannot with this. But because it doesn't have that Z clip, it has this almost choiled-like knife, like this, sort of this choiled area, see? Sort of follows the same curvature, where your hand ends up going ahead and flowing into the light. And then these indentions are a nice place to very confidently point, with the light when it's on, when you're going ahead and using it. So it's just as comfortable to get a high level view as if you're walking outside and have this at your waist, a low level view, and have that confidence and purchase right up here, right at the end of the reflector. Another thing, you can also T-handle this like this, and I actually find myself doing this. Not with any other light, but because it has this waist, if you will, that comes in, it's really comfortable to go ahead and use like this. And even like this with the pointer finger, which I don't do with a lot of other lights. So there's just a lot of ways that you could really just have it your way. Versatility, not really having to worry about it only feels comfortable in one way. So I really like that. Also, I really like the fit and finish of this light. This finish that it has on here, this sort of stone-washed satin, really brings out the darkness in titanium. Certain titanium looks just as good, but brighter, like you can see on this MSR KR4 titanium, or in my back pocket, my tactile turn bolt action mini. You can see that this has a lot more of that dark, steely gray titanium color that titanium is known for. Another thing I like is I do like the deep carry of the clip. It completely rides flush, other than this, which I've never had a problem with it activating. So it's nearest makes no difference. Complete deep carry and disappears in the pocket. The other thing I really like about this light, and I almost say that I love it, is the emitter. This uses a Nichia N219B. This is a very neutral or warm white light that has an extremely high CRI, so the replication of skin and different things in the night really ends up going ahead and making a difference. Now, if you don't know what that means, let me show you with this light. Right now, these are Nichia in 219 Bs as well. This is what this Alpinist looks like with that. Now I'm going to show that's 4000K. This is an Osram 6500. Now you can see that this watch almost looks a different color, more of a foresty green, while this looks a little bit more limey. So that's just the difference between color ranges. This light has 2 emitters in it. That's how I'm doing that. I'm switching between them. But it's not a review on this. That's later. But I love this color because of the accurateness of, this temperature, the accurateness of the light itself when you're going ahead and looking in the middle of the night. Also, more importantly for me, is when I turn this on in the middle of the night, this never stings your eyes. Even if you click it and then pump it up to a higher brightness, you're not having to go ahead and worry about the fact that your eyes are going to be stung. Sorry, I'm back. Took a call. So anyways, where was I? Basically, the color of this, the K of this, doesn't have any blue light. You talk about blue light and your eyes, stinging, and your phones are now going ahead and transferring from blue light in the day to more of a, yellowish, reddish hue at night, warm hue, so it doesn't sting your eyes. Same idea here. The warmness or neutrality of this light, instead of it being more blue, you can use this in the middle of light, and I absolutely, I love that, you know what I mean? So that's what I like. I like the emitter that they have in here. It's not super duper rare or anything like that, but it just works. It's good. I like the design overall with this. I like the ergonomics of this light, as well as the finish and the way that it looks is attractive. What I love about this light, the first thing is I feel like it fits in the EDC role perfectly. What I love and what I've really been getting into is this sort of idea with a light that if I took this light with me around the world, it would be no problem. Because one claim to the fame of this light is, not the highest in the world, but pretty high for how small it is that this actually has 250 lumens of brightness. Now we'll get to that because there's a caveat there. But the cool thing is if I ran out of this battery, which is rechargeable, and I was, touring somewhere else in the world, I was taking a trip to, Asia or, again, I just was leaving home, even in America, and not really packing anything with me. No big deal. I can put a standard Energizer like you saw in here. I can also put a nickel metal hydride rechargeable battery like this. No problem. I could go ahead and get through what I needed to get done and not going ahead and having to worry. Also, this light does a great job of really using everything that it needs, but not really having extra space where it doesn't. So the next thing I love is just how insanely easy this thing carries in your pocket. It disappears, but you don't forget it enough where you're going to leave it in the washer. So that's a really great thing. The next thing that I love, and that's big for me, is that this thing really feels like it's special. It feels like it has a soul to it. I'm proud of this light if I take an EDC photo and I'm like, ooh, yeah, let me get this. Let me get, my titanium pin. Let me flex, right? Because we all do it. Let's be honest, right? That's the fun of it. Saying, oh, I love that. What is that pin? Oh, man, I've been looking for something like... And so much, I've gotten so many compliments about this flashlight. Like, what is that? Oh, my gosh. Yep. So I just love the fact that it feels special. Like, when you look at an OK Luma light, there's just this sort of, like, pop culture to it. This sort of... just popularity, people respect. It's like, oh, this person knows. This is sort of like that, right? Where it's like, oh, this guy, like, props. Nice light. Love mine. I've had so many positive things about it, and it's because it is a really, really great light, and it just has this cool factor with the tritium, this frag pattern, the simplicity. It's just awesome. I love it. So that's what I love about this light. Love the fact that it carries so easily, that it does have this sort of soul and cool factor and sort of respect. You feel like you're kind of in the club, you know, when you're going ahead and having this. And the other thing I love while we're on that, even though it has that cool factor, it's not super duper expensive. I think these come in about $70, $80. Again, these are made by Ray, and they're made more at a pace by hand. It is light that is made in China, so do with what you will with that. It doesn't bother me at all. You know, I like supporting businesses that, again, end up going ahead and bringing the people up and, you know, have a face behind them. You know, they're doing good work. You know, and again, this is sort of the deal with the Reylight, you know, and everything like that. When you contact, you're talking to Ray, you know, and any sort of questions, anything like that. What I dislike about this light itself, the first thing that I dislike about this light is it's sort of more of a story, right? When I got this light, I was disappointed because the way that the modes work with this light and the sort of reflector that's used, I didn't get it at first. So let me kind of back up. Things that I love about this light next just are the user interface. You click it to get into action, so it is on, and then a light press, and the half press actually cycles through the modes. So you don't like on, off, on, off, on, off. You click it on, and then you light press, and you get to the desired lumens. So that's one thing that I love about this light. I also love the reflector because the reflector is this sort of floody on the outside. It has a hot spot, but it's not so defined. It's still pretty soft, so it's easy on the eyes, and it's really great for EDC because if I'm not holding this very far away, you can illuminate a whole entire table or, you know, drawer or interior of a car with this light. But it still has some range. You're still able to use it as an EDC item outside. Sorry, forgot about those things, wanted to get it in. Anyways, what I don't like. So what I don't like is, with this light, one thing that that you have to kind of be mindful of, or that I don't like, is that you really kind of have to work the light. You know, it's something like this, or something even like this, 1,000 lumens, like 22 100 lumens for each light, and then if you double click to turbo, you know, and have both of them, you're probably about 3,000 to 4,000 lumens with that guy. So you could just oversaturate the crap out of whatever you need and see. With this, you really have to be like, oh, well, I'm like looking for this one thing. Let me like put the light exactly on that thing, right? Which for EDC is just fine. But I was so used to going ahead and just having, you know, lights that have 4,000 and little S2R, S1Rs that are 6,000 to 1,000, not really even having to work the light, you know what I mean? Just like putting it in that direction. There's so much freaking brightness, bam. So that's something to keep in mind. The next thing that I don't like is this doesn't have the best battery life. Now, what I've learned about the light more over time, I've gotten more battery life over, and that's what we'll get into in the next section. But, you know, if you use this light like those other lights mentioned, where you use the high mode all the time, just for, you know, seconds at a time, you're going to run through battery life in like a week. And the other thing I don't like about that is that there's no sort of like soft blinking like there is with some of the O lights or any sort of indication. It just shut off on me one day. And I'm like, oh, that would be really bad if I needed this in a very dire situation. That's not cool. So that's something I don't like, you know, about going ahead and using the light. And one of the reasons why I'm glad I've been using this for months to really get a full comprehension of what's going on with this light. The next thing that I don't like is that because of this tail clamp, even though it is flat, it's very small, it's really kind of hard to, you know, you just gotta perfectly get it to tail stand this, because just like the wind blows and it's wobbling and it's falling over. I like to tail stand my lights, and just there, I was trying to do it and you saw that it fell over. So that's something else to go ahead and keep in mind. Now, the thing that is rubbish. I hardly ever have anything that's rubbish on this channel. And I love this light. I prefer this light. Like, if you're wondering, just absolutely, it's a masterpiece, knocking it out of the park. However, the thing that is rubbish about this light is that it's advertised at 250 lumens, which are like, wow, out of that little light, that's pretty crazy, when like the Olight S or i3T EOS, sorry, is only 90 lumens or 120. That's amazing, blah, blah, blah. But the thing is it's kind of a gimmick. The reason why is you have to really relearn. This is like a half a lumen. This is probably about 5 lumens. And this is probably about 40 lumens, maybe 60. But they don't advertise these lumen amounts, which is something that I don't like. But what is rubbish is the fact that when you kick this up to 250 lumens, at the 30-second mark exactly, it falls on its face. I've never run into a drop on a light in my hands for using my light. Anytime I've went into turbo or something like that with a light itself, the only reason it's dropped is because I've tail stood it, or I put it on its side or something like that. But never in my hands have I had a light where I was using it, and then I'm like, wow, I don't have enough light. What's going on here? And then I click it off, click it on, and then I realize that basically the light itself is actually hit its turbo amount. So for this light, even though they advertise it as, and it's hard on camera to see, like, get it back, but it really does reduce. You just have to take my word for it. It falls on its face and goes from 250 right down to like 90 or 40 or something like that. So that is a thing. It doesn't really get hot, but it feels like they're being overly safe. So, it's not a light that you have to really worry about being dangerous or anything like that, with the thermal, ness of titanium not being as good as something like copper. Hence why this light has this massive copper on here, not just because, it looks cool. This is a functional heat sink, because this is a thermal superconductor, and titanium stinks at thermal distribution and absorption, unlike aluminum and copper and brass. I digress. So the thing is, when I'm using this light, it's almost like you have to use it as moonlight, low, which those two first ones are really good indoors, and this one is okay outdoors just for right in front of you, and then high, and you got to kind of really work the light. Like I said, if you're looking, I have to sort of squint, I have to concentrate, I have to hit that beam perfectly where I'm looking, no oversaturation, and then this is almost like emergency mode. Like, I hear a bump in the night, I saw something flash over here. Let me go ahead and kick this on emergency mode, because I have 25 to 30 seconds before this just falls flat on its face. To me, if I would rather you have 200 lumens and run it for 2 minutes, or, advance your technology and put a copper pill in here and the inside of this that's a heat sink and you can't see it. Do something like that instead of claiming that you have this really high lumen. And then really, it's so short of an amount of time. I mean, people laugh at the D4V2 at only being about a minute to a minute and a half on 4,000 lumens, because that's its claim to fame. At least that's usable, and I've never really ever hit that, deduction time with me using it in general purpose EDC, and I use my lights all the time. This, like I said, I digress, is the first time, and I just feel like that's rubbish to advertise that, and also not really give an idea of what the different levels are. They just give like a percentage of max value or something like that, right? Or a range that it could be in. So anyways, something to keep in mind if you're really shopping this light for the 250 lumens. It is something that works, but it only works with this battery or other, lithium specialized batteries, not a standard AAA. I think it only runs at about 90. And more importantly, again, it's more like an emergency mode for like 30 seconds, just a flash in the dark, literally, instead of you being able to use this for 5-10 minutes before it starts slowly reducing over time. It's pretty much like hits that 30 seconds, and in the next 30 seconds, it's dropped to 90, and you're like, what happened? Where'd all my light go? So that's basically the review of this light. It is excellent in its looks and its ergonomics. Oh, the other thing that's rubbish, sorry, is this tail switch. This tail switch is quite finicky. You've even seen it a couple times where it's so easy to go to soft press this and you accidentally click it off. Or you go with Moonlight and then you tap it, and of course now it's not going to do it, but you tap it like 3 times in a row and it goes Moonlight, 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 and then it goes to the next. Also, if you do this really fast, and you can only do it sometimes, like you turn it on and then you instantly click to like and again, it's almost like double tap to turbo. So that just makes it really finicky. I found if you just sort of like use the pad of your finger and just sort of rock, but this isn't anything you'd want to use as like a emergency or tactical. Not that I really care about that stuff because I'm not trained, so I'm not going to act like I'm, looking for it in that way. But again, just for somebody that would, you don't really want to go ahead and buy it for that because it's so finicky to get it right. You really have to sit and concentrate, and even then you can click it off. I would much rather, sort of like the normal Pineapple, them have a guard that you can then sort of rock down into to intentionally turn it off and on. The other thing that is rubbish is sometimes this one is perfect, but I've gotten 2 regular Pineapples that the finishing of this part and this part is completely different than this part, the titanium version and on the brass version, where it just really didn't sit well with me that it looked like they were batch stonewashed, and they don't match at all. This one is gorgeous and basically is 100% match. The other one was like really shiny and light up here, while it has this dark gray here. So something to be aware of when you're ordering these lights, to maybe expect that you might have to get 1 or 2 of them before you get one that ends up matching you, unless you don't care or you're just going to refinish it itself. But that's basically it. Fantastic light. Absolutely love it. One of the prides of my collection. But as you can see, even something that I love wholeheartedly so much also doesn't come with a charger. That's the last thing. You would have to buy a charger if you buy it with a light, but I do recommend getting the light they have. But amazing light, like I said. It definitely has some faults. Even though you love it, it's kind of like your children, right? So some faults, even though you wholeheartedly love it and enjoy that it's a part of your life. So if you do like this video, please give a thumbs up. Also comment down below and hit subscribe, as well as that little bell, as I do post not so often to bug you, but I definitely want you seeing the content that I have. I love going ahead and fellowshipping with you guys and getting your opinions on these videos. Most importantly, I appreciate you watching this video, as there's so many amazing content creators you could be watching, and you decided to watch my video. I hope everybody has a great weekend going ahead and coming up, and stay safe. Peace.